So, it was really this door-to-door kind of buy now car salesman type of mentality. And the reason for that was because they held all the information. We as consumers did not hold any of that information. We could not find any of that information. So for the longest time in history, salespeople had control. And then all of a sudden, we started shifting with .com. Everyone started, oh, I could Google that. Oh, I want to look at that company first. Doesn't mean that the information that they're taking in is 100% accurate. That doesn't matter. Your job as a salesperson is to explain that and to educate that now, right? So not to push product, but really to sit there and say, okay, let's educate you on what we can offer and how that actually helps you. That is a very different ballgame from where we had been sitting for years and years and years and years. And then now we move into a little bit of AI. And then COVID hit as well. So we are in this pocket right now of reinventing of what sales is. And if companies are still way over in the 90s, they're behind so far in moving that. And that needle is those power skills and those connections and doing it differently than we always have. I always tell people we think of ourselves as changing all the time. We think of our products and services as evolving and changing all the time. We forget, number one, we get lazy because we have a relationship with someone. So we forget that that person on the other side, our client, also changing in real time always, and their company is also changing. So we forget that because we get comfortable, meaning that we need to get out of that zone and go into a bit more credibility. So going into this real time of how we're selling now, but then also recognizing that sales evolves. I think that's where we're stuck, is that everyone thinks that sales is sales. And history tells us differently. And we are in this real interesting pocket of time where everyone is figuring out in real time how to sell now.
Yeah. I've never had anyone break that down quite like you just did with the history of sales. And I'm sitting here thinking of just personal experiences on a lot of this stuff. I've gotten to a place where I've gotten lazy in my
Mhm.
process because I thought, hey, I've done business with this person before. Little did I know, or I was naive, I guess, to think they weren't getting pursued by someone else and
Right.
then potentially losing business. But I learned that early. So that was a good lesson to learn.
Well,
Everyone's got to
I
consider
didn't
that.
learn that early, Chris. I lost a client, I don't know, 12 or so years into my career. They had been with me for 7 or so years. Relationship was on point. Relationship was great, and I was super comfortable. I didn't live in the state, so would always travel to the state, check in with them and say, I'll be in town, so I'll stop by, see if you have any questions. If we had any bells and whistles that I needed to talk about for, product that they're already using, we could talk about that. Any issues, of course. And then let's go to happy hour or dinner. I guarantee that that sounds so familiar to everybody listening. And 100%, I'm going to tell you all right now, you're winging it. You're winging it. I was winging it. I was too comfortable. I wasn't coming in really asking around their processes, what's going on with them in real time, and then thinking around how the products or services that I was supplying could actually level that. And he was so transparent with me. He would always say, okay, so and so came in again today, who is my direct competitor, knew him well, knew him for years. And I was like, great, tell him hi. Cause I was so naive to think our relationship is on point. This is great. And then just one day out of the blue, they stopped billing. And I called them and he said, I have been dreading this day. I didn't know how to tell you. We ended up going with him. Well, why did he do that way? Because our relationship was so on point. But I wasn't bringing enough credibility and recognizing that I needed to stay with the game and not lean on that relationship. Most salespeople are relationship people. Any
100%.
of us can walk into a room and chat up a storm, figure out how to navigate a conversation enough, follow up maybe once or twice enough, right? So we have that down. What I think that most of us are missing is getting lazy or winging it a bit because we lean on that too much and not recognizing that this is a different game where we have to come in as really this trusted expert and advisor, almost a consultant now in their business with what we sell.
Yeah. There's another layer to it for sure. And I
Yeah.
like that you go deeper about that. Cause yeah, like you said, everything you're saying, every sales rep knows and they feel
Yeah.
good about it. and maybe sometimes you get stretched too thin, and maybe that's an excuse you use as, not going deeper for some people. But you're right, there is this next layer you've got to chip away at to really be the
Mhm.
top of the top on the sales game. And there's always, again, you mentioned too, there's always so much learning that goes on
Yeah.
too. But do you focus, Amy, because what you're saying, I feel like can be heard on both the corporate leadership side when
Yeah.
learning how to develop their teams and coach them, as well as individual sales reps to be better at bringing their A game to their career.
Mhm.
Do you speak to both the client side and the individual side, or where do you typically focus your work on? We're talking like your book, Connect to Close.
Mhm.
Your processes, is that more individual focused or both sides?
I would say both sides. We do a lot of corporate training, so we sit in a lot of large, we were just in with a 100-person team on Tuesday doing some training and some deep dive work. I do a lot of executive consulting as well. So that has definitely come into play the last 3 years or so of really supporting and helping them communicate down and communicate up. So when we're supporting down and then communicating up to people above us, we get a little stuck in that role sometimes of how to do both. So really designing that too and consulting in real time there. We also do smaller group and we also do one-to-one coaching. That one-to-one coaching, however, is offered only through corporate.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense where if you go into a corporation, you're speaking to both leadership and sales at the
Mhm.
same time and getting everybody on the same page to
Yeah.
this approach. Hey, this is what we need from you and this is what we need from you. And if we can
Mhm.
all commit that together and go in the same direction, this is going to be a much better oiled selling machine to get us where we want to go if we're all on the same page. So that's
Yeah.
again an approach that I think is very beneficial and needed. And there's probably
Mhm.
not a shortage of work for you in being able needed to get into some of these places because it is interesting. I mean, I there's not a better feeling. I'm just sitting here again thinking of the places I've worked and leadership, and I tell everyone how blessed I am to be at where I am now because leadership, I feel like, does take that approach of like serious relationship building, and that's always like the most important thing that's talked about.